Alright, we're doing it now. We're doing the video. How are we getting on? I have a new song coming out on Friday called The Fog. And it potentially could be the best one yet, at least in terms of the production. I think the overall quality of the vocal, my pronunciation is as good as it's ever been, not perfect. The timing is something that I really got a feel for. So one thing that I've done differently, well, in the last two songs, is that instead of recording in this little box in my room, I'm now using this studio in town called they're Pirate Studios. Big facility, lots of recording spaces, 25 quid for 2 hours, 12.50 an hour. All you need to do is bring a laptop and you get to use state-of-the-art equipment basically for recording. And I think that's helped to improve the quality of the audio at least. And then the actual editing of the audio itself, I've learned a lot about how to improve the timing. So making sure that your words are kind of falling on the beat, because I think that's what separates kind of amateur productions versus professional productions, is that there's just that timing. The timing is just a little bit off. Like you can't even, you just intuitively feel that something is wrong. So I think I got a real good feel for making the right adjustments for this song and sent it off to the producer. It's all sorted, all ready for Friday. Another thing I did, I think better, was instead of just releasing the song immediately as soon as I got it, I instead set a release date on Spotify. So what that means is you can submit your song to different playlists and have them potentially picked to be on these playlists to get more exposure for your song. Now, it's not a guarantee, but because you set a release date in the future, it gives them time to review your music. So at least it gets in with a chance of being sort of reviewed and potentially accepted onto these playlists. And then also it allows you to kind of better market the songs. So I came up with a kind of marketing strategy around, trying to show the different aspects of what goes into the song, like the different steps, start with the lyrics, then the chords, then you get the music from your man, then you put the recording on. So that's kind of a new way of thinking about the problem, because I want to get the music out there, but I'm putting a lot of effort in, and I might as well go give it the full shilling, do my best in terms of marketing the music as best as I can. So that's kind of been an evolution in my thinking of what is the best approach to getting the music out there. And I think one reason why I'd be just putting it up without doing the marketing that I'm trying to do now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I think it's better than what I've done in the past, is that because you're marketing, you're kind of saying to the world, like, oh, like, please come and like my music, like, I'm putting all this effort in, won't you come and like me? Whereas if you're just throwing it out flippantly, there's kind of this sense of, oh, I don't really care. You know what I mean? I'm just making music, and you like it, you don't. And I think that's a safer position in terms of, you're less vulnerable to what people might say or any sort of reaction. Not even what people might say, but you're, because let's say, okay, you're putting all this effort into the marketing and you don't get the response that you would have liked, then you're kind of putting yourself on a chopping block in a way. Like, there's just this more, you're just more vulnerable. to that the idea is that you've tried hard, as hard as you could, and so that can either go one way or the other, you know what I mean? But I think I've tried to overcome that in another, because I could see that in myself. I've been doing a lot of deep thinking as to why I am even pursuing music in the first place and what I'm trying to achieve with music. Because I mean, I don't think I'm going to make any money from music. I'm lucky enough that I don't have to rely on music for money. So why am I concerned with any sort of outward success in relation to the music? And I think that actually it messes up the relationship with the music production and creation and putting it out into the world if your incentive isn't really aligned with the sort of kind of your moral compass in a way. Like you're being dragged into ways of thinking that are sort of dependent on whether or not you're going to be successful in this domain or not. So I want to try to liberate myself from the idea that I have to achieve anything with the music and instead just focus on improving in the domain of music production, guitar, vocal, singing, the whole thing, and writing music and not worrying if it's getting played, if it's getting this, if it's getting that, but just try to get the music out there and let that be good enough, I suppose. And I suppose that kind of leads me into the other aspect of the content that I'm putting out, in that I want it to be valuable. That's why I'm doing this video right now. This video is actually, I have a visceral reaction to sitting here, recording myself. I'm even more vulnerable probably than I've ever been. I don't plan on editing this. I'm just kind of going with the flow, seeing what comes out. And, you know, warts and all, whatever happens. And I hope to potentially share some of the ideas and learnings that I've gathered on my whole journey up to this point in relation to music production, in relation to productivity, in relation to anything really. I just want to start trying to provide more value with the content I'm putting out. I mean, the busking videos and the bit of crack that I'm having with the 360 camera and everything, I mean, the reason I was putting that out, if I ask myself honestly, was just because I thought I needed to be posting something. And it was more filler content. And obviously, look, some of it was funny. And it was class. Look, a lot of it I enjoyed. But I was hoping to sort of build up some momentum with funny videos. And was hoping then that would kind of tie in to building a bigger platform for me to release the music off. And it just got to the point where I'm editing these videos. It's taken me ages to edit the videos. I have to watch all the content that I've recorded and cut all the videos out. Some of them aren't funny. I have to listen to myself saying the same rhymes, the sort of the same stuff, and being like, oh, I'm saying that word, which is good. The good thing about recording yourself, and even this video, is that if you look back at it and you can analyze and learn a lot more about yourself and how you're presenting yourself in the world, you can learn what your verbal tics are, like is one that I'm trying to avoid saying. I'm probably consciously aware of avoiding saying that currently in this video. But you learn a lot more about your speech and yourself if you look back, especially for your performance, especially for guitar. The video component is good. But even just the audio component, listening to my singing and being like, oh, the pitch is a bit off here and there. And then it hurts, but you learn a lot. And that was one benefit of recording and going through the videos, but it's just not worth it, and it's not really aligned with my sort of, I don't know how I describe it, like my moral compass in relation to my feelings towards social media, perhaps, and the type of content that I don't want to be adding to. I don't want to keep contributing to frivolous content that's just, and look, there is value in making people laugh, but the cost benefit, to me, the time I have to put in versus what I get out, versus how aligned it is with what I'd like to do with the content that I'm putting out, it doesn't make sense anymore. So the idea now is that I want to start producing content that's going to try and add more value, show more personal content, more real content, and stuff that potentially has value in it for other people. Because what's the point in not trying to pass on sort of the baton of information that I've taken from all various aspects and avenues and places, and passing them on as I get them in whatever way I can. I'm not, obviously we can only reach and influence whoever we can influence, but we all have an opportunity to do so in whatever circles, whether it's our family circle, whether it's here on social media, whether it's just at a bus stop talking to somebody. You have potential opportunities to change somebody's thinking radically and completely. I don't know how many times I've just heard something or seen a way things were done, or heard a story that completely changed how I looked at the world and how I went about trying to achieve what I was trying to do, or to help me do something better, quicker, or faster. So the idea that I could potentially do for others what others have done for me, and continue the sort of idea propagation, don't just let it end with me. Like, I think ideas, in a way, that when they get passed to us, they kind of get digested, they get transformed, amalgamated, and then they come out in a kind of different way. So there's this kind of constant evolution of ideas and thinking and thought, and we are just kind of conduits for that thought and for them ideas. So we have to get them out. We have to go. We have to let them take on their next form. And everything is basically a remix of everything else. If you think about it, I mean, no one would just start making pop music if they were just thrown into the universe at the moment of its conception. It's all built upon the next. So there's no real original thought, or you're not self-made, or you didn't think of this great idea. Like, the idea was built upon a stack of other ideas. So there's no real true original thought in that sense. So, and you don't have to feel that if you think of something, that's what the ego wants to try and grab onto and be like, oh, look what I did. But you didn't. That's like, you were just in a situation where the idea happened to get to you at the time that it did, based on all the other ideas and information that have come previous. So, long story short, right, we're gonna start spitting out some stuff, potentially helping, or at least passing on the idea baton to others, and trying to give value in what I'm doing. And so my content is more aligned with who I want to be perceived to be in the world. And that's someone who I think is open and honest and really does want to help. I really want to help people. It's a kind of selfish thing because if someone says you help me with this thing and you help me see this way, I feel good about that. What can I say? That's a part of my nature. So anyway, I'm gonna keep harping on here about ideas, or I'm gonna change it up a bit and perhaps think about turning off this fucking camera. Because I mean, it's difficult. I don't know if anyone out there has ever tried this, if anyone's reached this far in the video and tried to just speak in front of a camera, and it was very uncomfortable in the beginning, still uncomfortable now, even as I'm speaking and I'm talking and I'm getting myself into these holes with what I'm saying, and then I'm hoping that I can pull myself out in a way that sounds articulate, in a way that can be understood, in a way that doesn't sound stupid. But this is another place for growth. You can see straight away that I have a lot to learn in this space here, in trying to communicate my ideas when I'm on my own through video, and just communicate my ideas in general. And I'll be able to watch this back, learn from it, and then the next video or the next piece of content or the next whatever I do, it's just always getting better by the previous endeavor. So it's good when you feel uncomfortable doing something, because that means that there's a lot of potential for growth in whatever that area is. So when you start something off, the first few weeks you'll get a lot of the benefit of it. Not even the first few weeks. Time is not really a good metric, but just at the beginning, there's more things to reach for and to improve upon than when you start getting really good. Because if you start getting really good, then it's just harder then to find, oh no, I'm good at that already, I'm good at this part already. But when you want to elevate to elite level, that's where you have to actually work harder. So the more things you start and the more things you just kind of dip your toes into, you get a lot of the benefit and a lot of understanding of different facets of the world just from trying new things. Like the idea of video production now and not editing the video, but sitting here and trying to make sure that the shot looks decent enough, and I'll be able to improve on that if I see, oh, this shot actually wasn't great, the lighting wasn't great. Google how to make a better video in terms of the production, the audio, whatever. You know what I mean? It'll be constantly evolving through this, like every other aspect and every other endeavor. Like me and Sean doing, who's my brother, making comedy videos, and trying to write sketches and trying to be funny gave me a way deeper appreciation for when I see a comedian on stage or a sitcom, and I'm sitting there, how did they think of that? What were the steps in order to reach that kind of conclusion when they were sitting there in the writer's room? How did they get to that point? And you're just like, wow, like that is so funny and it's so clever, because you know what it's like to try and sit there and try to be funny, and it's actually very hard and it's very painful, because you're just throwing things out and stuff is landing or it's not landing. And like this video could just not be landing right now, and the whole thing could be painful. That's another good reason to do things with other people, is that if there's two people involved, the other person will act like a filter, because I think we all have a bias towards thinking what we're doing is good and is the right thing to do. But usually someone will tell you and be like, yeah, like that bit is good, that part is good, but that bit is wrong. Whereas when you're on your own, you don't really have that filter. So anyway, I've rambled for enough. But the new song is out on Friday, if you're sticking around. to this length of time in the video, and yeah, give it a save on the old Spotify algorithm there. Go on there.